subscribe. Tariq Radio. Watch and subscribe.
All right, we in the building, ladies and gentlemen. We are indeed in the building, and a round of applause for you, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to have everybody in here, and we are ready to chop it up as we always do. If you can hear me loud and clear, ladies and gentlemen, why don't y'all give me a nice thumbs up? If you can indeed hear me loud and clear, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And while your thumbs are up, let's give me a retweet too. That'll be great. Everybody give me a nice retweet, ladies and gentlemen. So what we're doing now, before we get started, I gotta shout out many of the regulars that's in here. Let me shout the regulars out. Let me shout everybody out real quick. Some of the people who's with us every day. Real quick, I see FBA Chuck. I see Juice. I see No Cap, Sweets, Malcolm. I see Brother Martin. I see Ty Powell, Hobbles, the prototype, Miss Skyline, Diego in the building. We got Grinds TV, Anubis, Morning Dew. We got the lovely Yoshi G and the legendary Tethanator in the building. Respect to you guys. First thing we got to talk about, family, Cardi B. Cardi B is in court right now. She's going through a civil case right now. Some interesting things happen in court. From what I understand, the case is it goes back from 2018. It was something that happened in 2018 where she got into an altercation. Cardi B got into this altercation with a security guard named Imani Ellis, a black woman. Don't know if she's FBA. I don't know if she's foreign, but I know she's a black lady. I don't know the background. I'm assuming she might be FBA. This was a security guard. And this was a situation that happened at an obstetrician's office in Beverly Hills out here in LA. Then Cardi B was pregnant at the time. So the allegations from this woman is that Cardi B spat on the woman and used racial slurs. Nobody's clear on what the racial slurs are. She didn't say the N-word, so I don't know what racial slur was said. If anybody knows, that would be great if you can submit that. I don't know what the exact racial slur was. The security guard also said Cardi B scratched her face with her long fingernails. And she said it required cuts that required, well, it caused cuts that required plastic surgery and left a lasting scar. And the woman said the ordeal caused trauma, emotional distress, job loss, physical injury. Yeah, man, you might be putting extras on it, but yeah, that's a little extra. Um, but yes, she also said it was assault and battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and negligence, and false imprisonment. So yeah, she's trying to get a bag. The Cardi B says there was no physical contact. She said the confrontation was verbal. She said that no one hit or scratched or spat on the woman. She claims that the woman was the one recording and following her without permission, and that escalated the confrontation. And she described herself as feeling cornered but unable to retaliate because she was pregnant at the time. And they said some witnesses corroborated Cardi B's account, some receptionist. So it's interesting. But when they were in court, um, they were trying to get to what the racial slurs were and were not, but they pretty much said she didn't say the N-word. I just want to know what the other racial slur was. And in court, one of the lawyers asked Cardi B, "Are you African American? What do you identify as?" And Cardi said she identifies as Afro Caribbean. So a lot of people are talking about that angle, which she is. She's Afro-Caribbean. But here's the question, ladies and gentlemen. This is the question for you guys. Because Cardi B has said some questionable stuff before, right? Remember, there was a situation some years back. She called some black women some cockroaches or some roaches, something like that. So she's been, kind of accused of that before. And we kind of see this from some of the Latinos, even the Afro Latinos, even the non Afro Latinos. They get a little comfortable saying some things that would be considered anti-black. So the question, family, this is the question. Do Afro Latinos get a pass to use anti-black slurs? That's the question. Because some of y'all like running around talking about black and brown coalition, right? Y'all, the black, brown, and coalition people, y'all like that. And many of you black, brown coalition people, you've given them a pass. And a lot of the Latinos, Afro and non-Afro Latinos, hell, they don't have to have the Afro in front of it. The regular Latinos, many of them are kind of comfortable getting around certain black folks using anti-black slurs. Now, why do they do this? Why do they think they're comfortable with this? Well, because of a lot of Sambos out here want some of that interracial sex. They want some of that exotic Hispanic cooch, and some of the hood rats want some Rico Suave balls. So there's a desire for sexual crossovers from some black people who give that stuff a pass. A lot of the Latinos, a lot of them assume that shared struggle equals shared experience. So a lot of Afro Latinos, they believe that having African ancestry, you understand, makes them part of the same struggle as foundational Black Americans. So they assume they can speak as Black people, even when they haven't lived the same unique experience as foundational Black Americans. You see? And truth be told, a lot of them, they grew up in cultures where anti-Black rhetoric was normalized, and just anti-Blackness, period. And in Latin America, anti-Blackness is very normalized. A lot of anti-Black language is casually used within these families, within their comedy genres. Some of those shows down there in Latin America show Black people in real funny style positions. So a lot of them might grow up hearing these little jabs and slurs that are anti-Black. They internalize them as just normal or just jokes and don't understand the severity of it. And also, a lot of these folks have a proximity to Blackness, and that's mistaken for permission. So a lot of these Latinos and Afro Latinos, they live in quote multicultural neighborhoods and they have Black friends. So they believe proximity to these Black folks give them the right to say what they want, especially if Black folks let them slide in the past. Yeah, the New Yorkers, y'all big on that. What the New Yorkers? Y'all New Yorkers gave that shit a pass majorly, especially in the 70s. Y'all gave them a major pass. Well, I don't think they were really running around. The Latinos were yelling the N-word in the 70s. I'm not gonna say that. No, they weren't doing that. But and more recently, but this proximity thing, because back in the 70s in New York, the Latinos knew they kind of had some act right when they got around the brothers. They got real comfortable within the last like 25 years with the Fat Joes and people like that popping up. So yeah, no, I'm not gonna put the bullshit on my New Yorkers. The Latinos really got on this bullshit out there within the last 25 years. The Fat Joes and the Takashis and people like that popping up. So yeah, back in the day, letting them talk greasy, that wouldn't have ride. They wouldn't let that ride. Oh, Rodney of Rivertown. Oh, let's get Rodney of Rivertown giving some thumbs down. Rodney, hop on in. Rodney looks like he disagrees. Rodney, hop on in.
Yes, I disagree with what you're
Oh,
saying because in New
goddamn,
York, we've always been
Rodrigo.
a culture.
Fuck.
Yes, we're a culture in New York. We don't have this division. We're all together. I don't understand. And the Cardi B, as far as she goes, the situation, since she's started her career, she's been trolled by black women. She was started with, she was antagonized to call the black woman a roach. And just constantly antagonizing her about her race. She's an
Nobody
Afro
antagonizes her
Caribbean.
about her race. Nobody antagonizes
Yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah. Yes, they constantly troll her about, coming from Dominican Republic. They say she can't say the N word, and we're sick of it. We're tired of the trolling.
No, 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 y'all ain't nobody trolling. Y'all get to saying little crazy stuff like you got to pass, and y'all have that anti-black racism and that anti-black disposition, and you hate being called out for it, right?
No, no, I'm FBA, so I'm just, speaking in defense of the Latinos right now. But
Okay.
Cardi B, she's been
And
called
like
out by
I
black
said,
women.
for you, FBA stands for fajita, burritos, and avocados. So you're not us. You're not a foundational Black American. That is what you're not, sir.
No, 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 but black women, they constantly troll her. Like Nicki Minaj, all of them, they always bother her. So they force her to retaliate this way. To get violent with them.
Well, Nicki Minaj is her fellow immigrant. She's a Caribbean too. So yeah, that's Caribbean on Caribbean violence, so to speak.
No, no, but she's not class because of your black supremacy. She's not considered, Cardi B's not considered a black woman, but Nicki Minaj is because I'm black and I say so.
What's black supremacy? What's that?
You know what you perpetuate in these rooms, like I'm black and I say so.
No,
That's what you push, that's what you promote. So, they say they allow, the Shea Butter crowd, they allow Nicki Minaj to be black, but they don't allow Cardi B to be black.
mm. Well, Cardi B said she was Afro Latino, so she's not black, according to her, right?
Afro Latino is black.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know?
Then how come
You got it.
then how come on your paperwork you all put white?
I don't know why I'm included in this
Yeah,
because everybody in my family is FBA,
no,
so I
they're
don't know
not,
why you
sir.
would say that.
No, they're not. Y'all all put white on your paperwork. Y'all all put white on your paperwork.
I don't put white on any of my paperwork. All my paperwork says black.
No, it doesn't. All your paperwork says blanco, with white. That's what you are. You're a blanco. All right, I had to get Rodrigo out of here. The phone starts smelling like empanadas. Vicky, hello, Vicky. Vicky, you want to unmute your microphone, ma'am? Miss Vicky, or is this some dude catfishing? It's okay. I just took a look at your thing. It looks like okay. It looks like a fake AI photo. It's a dude. Vicky, y'all watch out for Vicky. Vicky is a dude. Vicky is a dude with a catfish account. He got AI pussy. All right. It's not a real woman. That's not a real woman. Vicky is a man. And it's probably Rodrigo's Finsta account. I think Vicky is a Dominican man. So y'all don't go to that page and don't send no DMs. That's not real pussy. All right. That's AI. So y'all be careful. And this person is trying to get somebody's Cash App account or something. This person's trying to come up. So be careful. But like I said, family, these people think that the Afro in Afro Latino grants them some kind of immunity. See, a lot of these Latinos with any kind of perceived African ancestry, sometimes they feel entitled to use these anti-black slurs because they're like, oh, we all black when it's convenient. When it's convenient, even if they don't really identify with black culture, black struggle, the foundational black American experience in a meaningful way, they think that that Afro part gives them some kind of green light. And also with hip hop culture too, folks have been letting people do that black and brown and black and Latino created hip hop bullshit, which we nipped that in the bud with the movie Microphone Check. And so a lot of them, they feel like they help build the culture, therefore they have an equal right to use all aspects of it, including using controversial language that's generally used within foundational Black American culture. You see? And also, listen, social media, rap, music, that kind of normalized the language. A lot of online spaces are filled with a lot of Latinos just casually using the N word and other slurs. And they use it in rap lyrics and You see a lot of these rappers coming out lately who are Latino talking about they use the N-word this, they use the N-word that, but they'll still harbor these anti-black views. And a lot of these people, they see foundational Black American culture as a form of entertainment, not an identity. Some of these people, they see our culture as like a costume. It's like a mood. They feel like acting like a foundational Black American today, just like Rodrigo's ass. He's always coming in here trying to cosplay as us. Something they want to imitate when it's convenient. So that's not really respect. That's co-opting. You'll adopt the slang, the swag, but you treat it like a performance. Yeah. And they think that gives them a pass. And let's be real, there's a lack of pushback from a lot of Black public figures, especially a lot of Black entertainers, especially rappers. They don't really push back on it. You know why? Because a lot of the audience for Black rappers are Latino. That's why they do a lot of pandering to the Latino crowd, and the Latino crowd know that they're being pandered to. They know that these program directors at these radio stations are Latino. You go to these fests and these big concerts, especially out here on the West Coast and even down south in Texas, places like that. There's a large Latino audience for hip hop artists, especially the old school concerts where there's breakdancing contests and stuff like that. That's damn near primarily a Latino audience. So a lot of the pioneers and other people, they feel like they have to pander to that crowd and let a lot of bullshit go without saying anything. Yeah. And let's be real, a lot of people, they have internalized white supremacy and anti-black bias. A lot of Latinos, even the Afro Latinos, they'll inherit those white supremacist values from their own country, where those European features are prized and those Black features are demonized. Yeah. So a lot of their slurs and their usage of it doesn't come from ignorance. This is from an ingrained superiority complex over people with real heavy African descent. So we got to put everything in context. We got to put everything in context. Let me get Ramon. Ramon in the building. Brother Ramon, hop on in. Ramon, hop on in, brother.
Check, Flex, can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother. What's happening?
For sure. What's up with it? I just want to throw something out real quick. I know you're kind of familiar. You might be familiar with the battle rap culture.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For sure. I figured that. It was a dude recently battling a Filipino battle rapper. And dude started hollering nigga every 5 minutes. The N-word every 5 minutes. Let me clean it up. And dude went off on it. It was a battle rapper out of Detroit.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I just want to throw that out there. And the funny thing about it, I'm gonna land with this. The funny thing about it, I looked in the comments when I seen the video. All kind of people was co-signing that, and I'm gonna land there, Flex.
There you go. Yeah, man, that's interesting. That is interesting. But listen, yeah, my thing is, yeah, just because you put an Afro in front of Latino, and let's be real, all Latinos over here in the Western Hemisphere got some Afro in them. All of them do. You understand that? All of them got some Afro in there. Let me say that one more time. All of them got Afro in them. You dig? Some of it's more pronounced in others, but yeah. First of all, because your lineage is from Spain first, and that Spanish bloodline has mixed up with that Moorish gene, them black Moors up there. That's one. And also, all of the Latin American countries were slave colonies. All of them. You understand? Remember, the Spanish brought slavery over here before everybody. You understand? It was the Spanish bringing slavery over here. A lot of people kind of They kind of leave that out of history for some reason. But the Spanish were the first ones to have slavery over here. They were bringing over people from slavery and enslaving the indigenous people here. Do y'all understand that? When I was on Vlad the other day, we were talking about Mexico and racism and all that, and I broke down. I said, Mexico was a slave colony. I didn't know that. He didn't know that. A lot of folks don't know that Mexico was a slave colony full of black slaves. A lot of the culture in Mexico comes from black people. The menudo, the food, the fandango, I think mariachi music, a lot of the stuff culturally down there comes from blackness, you see. And Spanish culture is already mixed in with that the Moorish bloodline. And again, they came over here. They had Christianized Moors with them, helping them get these towns and cities and countries settled. That's another thing. And then they started importing black people from Africa over here too. You understand? And you had a lot of rebellions. You had a lot of the Maroons. That's where the word maroon comes from, cimarron. That was a Spanish term for a wild runaway animal, something like that, cimarron. And you had a bunch of black Maroons running around Latin America. In fact, it was some of those black Maroons that got with the British and the English and kind of helped them get their weight up, because they were those black Maroons were battling with the Spanish, who kept trying to enslave them. It's some real deep history. I have to go on that at another time. I can break that down.
Microphone check. Microphone check. Microphone check. Microphone check.